on here. PJ, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it.
Tobin and Leroy, good to be with you guys.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, PJ.
Hey,
Go ahead, Leroy. Ask the first thing you want to ask PJ.
So when I played, there was always a coach that started off the season talking like me and ended the season talking like you do. And I would say, every player or every coach had that guy. Who was your guy? Who was your guy that you had to stay on and stay after so consistently that your voice just got shot?
Well, my voice has been shot for a long time because of that, but I had a different one almost every year. Unfortunately, I think a lot of our players would have multiple guys on the same team saying I was on them the whole time. But eventually, I learned to temper it. The NBA was good for me that way.
Right.
They gave me a little bit better perspective, and I know you had Jim Boeheim on before that, and people are used to seeing. They see the rants. They see you running up and down the sideline, and it's funny because you look at the two guys in the matchup. Danny Hurley's got a little bit, unfortunately for him, he's got a little bit of me. It looks like he's on his guys an awful lot, but his players love it. They're accepting of that, and he does it. And Jimmy Larinaga on the other side is standing there with his arms crossed, and his guys are doing exactly what he wants. When they don't, he tells them, but he tells them in a much nicer way. So it took me a long time to learn that. Danny for a while was one of the guys that I would get on too much, and but our guys got used to it. I think they were able to tune me out, and I always tell them, listen to what I'm saying, not how I'm saying it. So hopefully that message got across.
That had to be a cool thing for you to get to sit down with Dan Hurley. The connection you guys had. What does it mean seeing this run for him for you?
It's I've been so I hate to give Howard Deneroff, our executive producer here at Westwood One, credit, but it's unbelievable. He had me in Albany, so I saw Miami's first two games. I saw Connecticut's first two games, and then he had me in Las Vegas for the West Regional. So I've been with Connecticut all four games, and I got to watch the Canes their first two games in Albany. So he prepared me for half of the Final Four, anyhow, the bracket, and it's been a lot of fun. It's nice to see Danny enjoy this. He's really done a great job since he's got in coaching. I remember I was out in the West. Almost all my NBA jobs were West Coast jobs. And when he first got in at Rutgers, and I talked to people back in Jersey, to a man, they all said he's doing a really, really good job. This guy's going to be a really good basketball. And then he went to St. Benedict's Prep, which is a great high school program in Newark. Butted heads with his father even for one of the best programs in the state of New Jersey. And then he ended up at Wagner, where I coached for 6 years. So coincidentally, we were at the same school. And then, of course, Rhode Island and what he's done in Connecticut. It's great to see. He's an exceptional coach. I still call him a young coach, although he's been doing this for a while. This team reflects his personality. They play so hard. They play with so much emotion, but they're so deep. They play both ends of the floor. I mean, I really like Miami. It's a great matchup. I mean, ACC Big East, veteran players of the year. I hope it lives up to the expectation. I really do, because it's got the potential to be one of the best semifinals we've ever had in the Final Four, and I hope it turns out that way.
PJ, I always wondered, like, when it's time to draft NBA players, they always go with size and go with bigs, right? But those aren't the guys that win the NCAA tournament. It's the point guards. So I can't think of the last time a top five big won a national championship. Why is that?
Well, the whole game is the game has changed. It's funny. This is an example of international influence in us. When we first started bringing the players over, and we were kind of ahead of the curve at Seton Hall. We had some great success with international players, and when I was an assistant with Pop in San Antonio, same thing. They were ahead of the curve. They brought guys in, and you have so many of the Dirk Nowitzki type guys, that these 6'10", 6'11" guys who could shoot threes, and it's changed the game. There's still a place. Zach Edey, there's no question. Adama Sanogo, no question. Donovan Clingan, the freshman from Connecticut. Where do you see him play? He's Woj told me about him years ago. Same school. Woj is from Bristol, Connecticut, where ESPN is headquartered. And I remember Woj. I think Donovan was a sophomore in high school. Him telling me about him, and I've heard too many people tell me about sophomores in high school are so good and how good they're going to be. But Woj was right on, as he usually was. You'll see a team with two bigs. I still think there's a place for those bigs, but you got to put a little asterisk. You look at Embiid, you look at Jokic in the NBA right now. They're bigs who can score inside. You can post them up and do that, but they can go outside and shoot threes. Jokic in particular is such a great passer. It's unbelievable. So the skill set is just different now for the bigs. But I still think there's more of a place in college for a Zach Edey or a Damas Sanogo and Donovan Clingan, who you're going to get a chance to see from UConn. So I was lucky. I always had a couple of bigs when I was at Seton Hall. I still am partial to having that, but your point is well taken. It's usually the guard, and most times it's the point guard that runs the team for a coach, and you can have more impact on a college game than you can on a professional game if you're a point guard.
PJ, if I could swing over to the NBA in just a second, for a second here. Heat going through a little bit of a rut right now. Been a very up and down season, and you mentioned coaching demeanor. Erik Spoelstra, he has like a kind of good balance of that on the sidelines. We'll see him get upset when guys are lagging defensively and things like that. But after the game, he will never, ever seemingly rip his team, even when it feels like, man, they have been underwhelming this year. What do you feel like a coach, if a team that has high expectations that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year just can't seem to get it together? How do you think he is handling something like that? Because publicly, he still seems very even keeled, but I gotta imagine it's just making him nuts that he just can't seem to get things on the track, even though the pieces are all the same.
Couldn't agree with you more. I don't think Spo's a good coach. I think he's a great coach. He's done an unbelievable job. He's had the best mentor you could possibly have in Pat Riley. But Spo has done such a good job. It's one of the reasons he's an assistant now on the Olympic team. The way he handles players and the way he internalizes exactly what you're talking about. He never hangs them out to dry. When you see the game, some nights that they're not doing what he wants them to do, and they're just not executing at the level that you're used to seeing the Heat execute. Still, I'll tell you, everybody's worried that they'll get it together. You think of Golden State last year, all of a sudden, like maybe a week, 2 weeks before the playoffs started last year, they finally got guys healthy. They were playing their best basketball, and they never looked back. When you have a team like the Heat with that kind of playoff experience, and if things do fall together, watch out. It's hard, though, when you play the 82 games. It's generally the team that's played the best over the course of the year. And that's oftentimes Miami. This has been a very atypical Miami team. Can they get it together? I would never bet against them, but it's been a tough year. And Spo will get them on track, hopefully for this year's playoffs. But if not, they'll make the changes that are necessary, and they're going to be right back in the mix.
Well, we got an exciting weekend ahead with FAU and Miami in the Final Four. Some great games.
Boy, you should be pumped.
We are pumped up, and it's actually been a nice diversion from the Heat struggles for sure, PJ. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for the time.
Thanks, PJ.
Tobin and Leroy, great being with you.
There you go. PJ Carlesimo. You guys, of course, will be able to hear his coverage on Westwood One. Of course, we have the local call here. You'll be able to hear Joe Zagacki and Danny Rabinowitz over there in Houston. But, it's crazy to see what this year has been with that, and I gotta imagine it is eating Spo alive.
I mean, look, we can see the frustration in his face, even when he tries to put a positive spin on it. He ain't feeling that take. He ain't feeling it. You can tell. You know. But I would say this: some of the best coaches for players, you may hear them scream all game, but they never go after players. But behind closed doors, they will. Behind closed doors, they will make players accountable. Because in a team sport, that's rule number one. You have to be accountable to everybody else in that locker room, no matter what sport. And if you can't be, it makes it difficult for you to be a teammate. And I think a lot of coaches that you see yell like that, but have the respect of the players, they understand that, oh my goodness, I'm screwing up. And the coach not calling me out. He may yell at me in front of the team, but I got to get this, I got to get my stuff together. And I think you see a few coaches that are like that. I mean, Pop always, is after somebody, but the players all respect him. Same thing with Spo. There's a few coaches like that. They for the most part, you don't hear too many players that dislike Nick Saban. And he's a yeller.
Oh,
But it's that other conversation. That conversation that when it's all said and done and you're out of the heat of battle and you have that man-to-man talk to your players where they understand and you explain where you're coming from with that. And I think those are the signs of great coaches. Those are the signs of coaches that can relate to their players and try to get the most out of them.
All right, we'll take a quick break here on the show. By the way, if you want to go right now, Heat Magic, got a pair of tickets right now. If you guys want to go, caller 6 to 305-567-0560. Caller 6, you get a pair of tickets to Heat and Magic, the regular season finale for Miami. Caller 6 to 305-567-0560. We'll take a quick break. Back with more after this.